now tuning in to the Going North podcast with your host, best-selling author and professional speaker and member of the John Maxwell team, Dominic Dom Brightman. And every Monday and Thursday we're going to hear the voice of a different author sharing their gifts, stories, and expertise to help you charge forward in life. Now let's get on with the show. And today on the Going North podcast, where we bring you some fabulous humans from across the globe. Today's no different. Well, heck, who am I kidding? Today's actually different because we got a power couple in the house, and we even had a wonderful married couple on this show since Dr. Eric and Mama Z from last spring, and fun enough, last May. So it's definitely a nice year in between, but today's couple is different. Instead of aromatherapy, we have folks who are not only been through the caregiving experience, but they're now in their thriving experience. Because one half of this tag team right here is a featured author, fire lieutenant, and Grammy-nominated composer who scored inspiring music for America's most celebrated sporting events and television shows. And the other half of this awesome dynamic duo, she also is an author, speaker, and trainer, and dubbed by Elle Magazine as the soul-centered psychotherapist and meditation facilitator, as well as being featured as a behavior health expert on Today.com. So let's give it up for the fabulous D&T, Mr. David Dachinger and Tamara Green. How are you today, folks?
We're doing great, Dom. Great to be here with you.
Yeah, hello, Dom.
Ah, yes, indeed. We are now the DDT. This is great.
This is going to be fun.
Ah, yes, indeed. It's going to be fun on the bun with a pun. Or 50. Heck, maybe even 55 puns. Who knows? But yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. It's great having you both lovely folks on the show. And it's great that you really have a powerful story, the both of you, because it's really needed nowadays with the whole pandemic situation, and folks were dealing with stuff before the whole pandemic, and now it's like, all right, so now the shutdown happened and it's the new normal, and now people just have to adjust to the new normal. So how are you two fabulous folks adjusting to everything?
Yeah, and it's about continuity, right? People are used to continuity. They're used to things being a certain way every day, counting on certain things that we take for granted. And when all of a sudden you're faced with that's not possible, it's really a test of people's ability to go with the flow or resist. So yeah, we found that was part of our experience, and we see quite a bit of that happening today with the coronavirus pandemic.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And with all of the continuity being shifted, it's like, all right, so we need to find new continuity. Is that you're basically, both of you are not new to times of strife, because the title of your book is called Live Calm with Cancer and Beyond.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. We, let's see, back in 2014, our son was diagnosed with Lyme disease, and 4 days later, David was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. So it was a very big week back in October. David, I'll let you talk about that beginning part of the cancer journey.
Sure. Well, in this case, my barber saved my life. He literally found the cancer. Like, I was getting my hair cut and he noticed a lump on my neck, and that was what alerted me and started the whole medical odyssey, where I was walking around feeling totally normal. So so you can imagine that when you go to get these tests done, and you've had quite a few tests, and the doctor finally walks in and says you have stage 4 cancer, you realize in that moment that life is not the same. You're going to have to adapt and shift and flow or or else. I mean, it's really like your the direction of your life is changing in an instant. And so you can imagine it's like a sense of chaos, because all of a sudden you're not working, you're not doing your normal daily activities. You now have to go to treatment 5 days a week and change literally a lot of the just normal daily activities. Some of them get changed because of the treatment and the side effects of the treatment. So things like sleeping, eating, and exercising are not easy anymore. So we really had to shift quickly, but it takes a few days at least to really just let it sink in. And when it finally did, we were like, "Whoa, what just happened?"
For me, it was a few weeks. It definitely took me a couple of weeks to start wrapping my head around what was really happening to us as a family.
Oh yeah, that I bet you had to really put on a Superwoman cape after that one, right?
At the time, I felt like I was just, pedaling to keep my head above water at that time. But, you know, I, I run a cancer support group for caregivers, the caregivers that are caring for their loved ones. And they would never, ever say that they have a cape on, but I certainly look at them that way because of all they do for other people all the time, a real selfless. And I certainly didn't feel like I had a cape on, but, I guess looking back and basically what David was telling me afterwards about my caregiving for him and how important and healing it was for him. I guess you're right, Dom. I had a cape on without even realizing it. But yeah, very stressful time. But one of the hardest times that that I'm so grateful for, very grateful for that experience.
Yes indeed, yes indeed. That's right. Because I know Dave, my man, doesn't have the cape. My man has the fire lieutenant outfit on. Yes indeed.
Right. I had to take it off. I went from being the guy that shows up to help everybody in their emergencies or their medical emergencies to I was the patient now. I'm the guy that's going to the hospital, the infusion center, and receiving the treatment. So it's really a shift in identity, and in some ways, it's not an easy shift to kind of backpedal to downshift into a much more sort of role of being the person who's ill. So it took a while to embrace that, but I realized one of the ways I'm going to get through this process easier is by embracing that, by really receiving the care from these medical professionals in a way that was not resisting it, but actually appreciating how skilled they are, how compassionate and caring they were, and the fact that we are blessed with amazing medical technology that can actually help us to get well. Um, it was a choice to go the traditional medical route. There are so many different options out there, but once I made that choice, I decided to fully, you know, go with the program with the way that cancer is traditionally treated by oncologists in our country.
Yes indeed. And you said something really powerful is that the identity shift that you had to transfer from actual firefighters for fire lieutenants to actually becoming a cancer thriver in this case and learning how to actually deal with that new normal in a way. So what was probably the things that really helped you to really get through that phase? Because that's a phase I'm sure everyone has to go through in life, especially now.
Yeah, great question. So part of what was hard was telling the guys on my shift that I wasn't going to be able to work for a while, and so yeah, I was all of a sudden staying home every day, not going to work, and I'm sure people who are sheltering in place can relate to that. So yeah, what do you do? Like, how do you get through that? Part of it is you've got to shift from being the victim, the perspective of being the victim and being in a place of suffering, to choosing, I'm going to have an experience that I decide I want to have. I've always loved survival adventures, adventures like Shackleton at Antarctica, or guys that climbed Mount Everest. And I decided I'm going to view this cancer journey and the treatment like an epic survival adventure. But in this case, it's my body. Like, how's my body going to tolerate the radiation, the chemo, the side effects? How am I going to take care of my body so it has the best chance of bouncing back and recovering and getting through this in the best possible shape? And one more thing that was really key is being grateful, doing a gratitude practice where instead of focusing on the negative and the poor me and I wish it was different, looking at what was right and what was good and what was working and what were the blessings. And that was the quickest, most powerful shift that I did on almost a daily basis.
And I'm going to add to that list of what David was doing back then. He would tell me, I know the doctors are telling me I'm probably going to end up in the hospital with some kind of infection, or that I'm going to need a feeding tube because I can't eat or swallow with the radiation around my tongue and mouth and neck. And I'm going to need a PICC line and I'm going to lose all this weight. He goes, but I don't have to believe them. So he was telling me that's not going to happen to me. And I was amazed by that. And sure enough, he never needed a hospitalization. He never needed a PICC line. He never got an infection. He made a choice, a decision. And it's interesting because he's doing it still with this coronavirus. He's surrounded by it as a first responder, taking people probably for their last ride to the hospital almost every time he's on a shift. And he's still saying, I'm not going to get this. It's not going to take me down. I'm not going to get this fire. He's making this choice just like he did with cancer. And I can't help but believe him, because these are powerful words and beliefs, a belief that he has more power over it. So it's kind of impressive to be married to such an amazing man.
Woohoo! Sounds like you both hit the jackpot. That's what I'm talking about.
Woohoo is right.
Yes, indeed. Some powerful points right there. Not only about the gratitude, but also making sure you have the right words and using the correct language, because it sounds like David made a declaration or declarations that, hey, that I can listen to the doctors, but I don't have to add to myself to that statistic. And that's really powerful right there. So any advice for those who may be going through that portion of their lives right now where they're not fully aware of the language that they use daily that may be holding them back?
I've got a great exercise that I share with my psychotherapy clients all the time. And it's not a fun exercise. When I did it, I actually found it quite challenging, but it's a life changer. And, when you're going through a major illness like cancer, or right now with the coronavirus, there's a lot of downtime for a lot of people. This would be a great opportunity to do it. And it's called Stop Your Whining. And what you do for 3 days, you completely devote and commit to, and you're committing to yourself, by the way, to have a notebook everywhere you go, like a little one that you carry in your pocket with a pen or something. You can use your iPhone too, but every time you catch yourself, whining, complaining, out loud or in your head, you write it down. You just keep writing down everything that you complain about in your mind. And the more, since you're doing this exercise, you tend to be more aware of it. Not all the time, but most of the time you can catch what you're saying and then you write it down. And then after 3 days of writing it down, you'll definitely see a pattern of the things that you complain about a lot. For me, it was at the time when I did the exercise every morning, and I woke up, my first thought was, oh, I'm so tired. That was my first thought. So I had no idea that was the very first thing I thought the moment, my brain was kind of awake enough to think something. So that was a huge eye opener. So then what you do on that fourth day is you take all of those, those statements, and you'll definitely pick up that you repeat quite a bit of them, and you turn them to their opposite. And then that becomes your intentional statements or affirmations that you say again. It's another commitment for at least 30 days, if not more. So for me is, I'm so happy and grateful that I feel completely revitalized. Every morning I feel refreshed and revitalized. And it really makes a difference, especially at the end of 30 days.
Definitely love that answer. And that's actually a good technique. That I really do like that one because I've heard variations of that, but not that one where it's 3 days of writing all of them down. And then on day 4, you just look back at the notebook and like, oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's kind of shocking what ends up on that paper.
Especially if you think you're the type to not complain too. I can imagine seeing. And did you write down every single complaint, even if you repeated it more than once?
Oh yeah. You write every single one of them down, every single one. Yes. I really picked up a lot of things that I was complaining about myself. Oh, my body, I don't know. I think I've gained a little weight, or, maybe I look a little older this week. I don't know, just stuff like that, again, I wasn't totally aware of. But all of, that really made a huge impact on me and changed my internal thinking quite a bit after that exercise.
Sweet. That's what I'm talking about. The power of the written word and changing it. That's what I'm talking about right there. Helps you get that six pack and changing your mindset, metaphorically speaking.
Right. Exactly.
And then on the flip side, of course, what new language or phrases are we introducing into our thoughts and self-talk? And for me, a good one was "all is well." It has really been a universal, Swiss Army knife, 3 words that really, really just land for me. If I wake up in the morning, go to bed at night, or especially if something is bothering me or I'm worried about something, particularly worry, concern, kind of projecting into the future, then I just tell myself all is well, and everything always works out for me, because I look back over the greater part of my life, everything has worked out. I'm still here. I'm still feel like I'm a very vibrant person who's in a position to contribute to the world. So that's kind of my mantra, and it's it's nice to replace some of those complaining, negative self-talk with something that's a little more constructive.
And I want to add something here, because I get this quite a bit for the past 26 years that I've been a psychotherapist. And that is, easy for you to say, Tamara, you're so optimistic and upbeat all the time. Well, I wasn't always. And so for me, and what I advise people who are just starting this process of trying to change their negative self-talk, it's okay. You don't want to beat yourself up. It's almost like judging the judgment kind of thing. You're judging yourself with negative self-talk, and then you're, mad at yourself for having negative self-talk. So it's like you're judging the judgment. And so a great way to start, it's really okay to allow yourself a little leeway, knowing that what progress absolutely looks like is 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward. You're still moving forward, but you are going to have those slip ups, and don't beat yourself up over it. That's just what progress actually looks like. And it's okay to be angry and mad and pissed off, or negative. And so when you label those feelings, I'm so mad, ooh, or oh my God, I'm so scared, I'm really anxious, I feel like I'm going to have a panic attack or whatever. It's okay to label those feelings so that because feelings and emotions love motion. It's just trying to leave your body. It's coming to the surface because it's trying to leave your system. So allow it to happen by go ahead, label that feeling. How are you feeling? Go ahead and say it out loud or say it to yourself. It's okay. And then you'll start to feel a little better and a shift. And then you can go into, okay, all is well. Or even though I feel this way, you know what? I'm going to be okay.
Sweet. That's what I'm talking about right there. That's what I'm talking about. And the beautiful thing is that you mentioned how it takes actual work. It's like no matter how good you may become at something in the process of getting to that better place, metaphorically speaking, is that it's going to take progress and it still takes work because we're all human at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No question about it.
So what the beautiful thing about this is that you're still together even through this pandemic nonsense. So for those who are magical in a couple right now in a relationship, any tips for those to have a successful relationship from your experience?
So many.
You can pick 3 or 30.
Okay.
I'll start with one. So this is key, right? Having a sense of humor and lightening up is it's magic. I have a tendency to be a serious person or, take things very seriously. So I'm blessed that Tamara can instantly lighten things up and remind me that I am taking things quite seriously. But, we laugh a lot. We, particularly at the end of the cancer journey, when we were so relieved and grateful that we were through, we would start to, it was like a throwback to when we were younger. We would just boot up some funk music in the living room and turn it up loud and just start dancing. And that was one of the most liberating, uplifting things that kind of capped off the whole journey. But I think it's really a combination of not taking each other too seriously and then knowing how to just lighten up and have fun.
Even if you're embarrassing the crap out of your teenagers as they're watching you dance like a crazy people. They would roll their eyes at us every time they're doing their dancing to funk music again. I'm out of here.
There you
Well,
go.
David, he was a much more serious guy before cancer. So one of the wonderful gifts that we did get is that he's lightened up quite a bit since he's been a survivor. So it's been really wonderful. And in terms of some other tips, one of the other things I do besides psychotherapy and this wonderful business or mission that our passion project that David and I have together called Loving Meditations, one of the things that I've been doing for many years is I'm a love mentor. So I mentor men and women during the dating process or help to heal their relationships. And this is something that I tell them all the time. There's no way that somebody can love you more than you love yourself. You actually set the bar on how much love to let in by how much you love yourself. And I'm talking about a real authentic love where you just appreciate yourself, you have compassion for yourself, you can compliment yourself and really mean it. So self-care and self-loving acts is the best thing you can do for a relationship. If you want a healthier relationship, then you need to have a healthier relationship with yourself.
Oh, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And I feel like that's the part that a lot of folks are missing is to make sure that self care is not only taking care of yourself, but also finding out who you are before trying to really take a relationship to a higher level or even getting into a relationship from the beginning.
Yeah, that's so true, Dom. I think that our relationship reflects that because we were having met when we were in our teens. We had a kind of on and off relationship for a while because I was on the East Coast, Tamara was on the West Coast. And then when we finally did get together for real, we just weren't in that place. Neither one of us was able to love ourselves or have that kind of self-care, self-esteem, in order to have a successful relationship. And in fact, we didn't. We were talking about getting married, and it just all fell apart. And it took, how long did it take?
Another 8 years.
Another 8 years.
But who was counting?
Yeah, who's counting? And it took 8 years for us to get to that place where we finally reconnected, and we were actually able to move through so much stuff that had really just stopped us in our tracks. And so then at that point in time, we were ready to get married and have the relationship we have today. But it really took a lot of work. We both did work on our own, pretty intense self-examination, self-exploration, and it's, it was what it took, is what was necessary for us to have a successful marriage.
And that's so true for certain couples where it's like, okay, it's like you first meet and then there may be some on and off relationships and may take a little delay before
Mhm.
the linking actually happens. And it's good that the linking finally happened.
Right. It's funny because when I'm working with singles, um, they often will say, "Oh, wow, gee, I found my beloved, my soulmate. I'm so happy. I don't need to work with you anymore." And then that's when I laugh and say, "Well, you thought that's the end of your work, your self, discovery? No, this is kind of just the beginning." And that's, relationships, romantic relationships, I'll say, not friendships or relationships with your children, but those really close, intimate, romantic relationships like marriages and long-term relationships are what I consider quite sacred. And what I mean by sacred is this is where we get to work out our childhood wounds, our unresolved issues and problems. We work them out in this relationship. And it's one of the reasons why I tell couples, don't take it personally, what he's saying or what she's doing. It really isn't personal. Everybody's just trying to work out their own childhood pain or maybe their judgments, or including self-judgments. So it's sacred. So when you're able to really hang in there, right, not give up, that's what commitment is really all about. Even through the tougher times and challenges, boy, when you come out the other side and you have a better understanding of yourself and your partner, it's just your relationship just becomes so magical, right, honey?
That's absolutely right. And I want to add that I just told my guys at the firehouse this last week because I was so proud of them and how they stepped up during this pandemic. But it's really true for relationships too. And what Tamara is saying about, hanging in there through the tough times, it's that adversity, it doesn't build character, it reveals character. And, we can really discover who we are in a close relationship, whether it's a marriage or, a couple that's together, just dating or having a long-term relationship. But there is such an amazing opportunity in that format, in that arena of a close couple relationship, to work through those tough times and be there for each other, and to have the patience and the fortitude to stick it out and not bail. I mean, if it's not a healthy relationship, if it's not working, if it's if it's not, doesn't have the the goods to be a beneficial relationship, then there's probably time to take a look at it and decide if it's time to end it. But if there's enough there, if there's enough love and foundation and the things that make it worthwhile, then the tough times are actually what are going to be the ones that you look back on and reflect on as the most important and the most meaningful times.
Yep, that's true. That's true indeed. It's kind of like it's so true about the adversity really revealing character, because that's the real test of a relationship is when that adversity shows up. You're gonna find out if the glue is really glue or if it's just water.
You're totally right on that, Tom. And in our cancer journey, when I was, hitting rock bottom, life was not good at all. And that's when Tamara showed up 1,000%. And I thought that she was a loving person before, but her ability to really be there, present for me, meaning that she was, she was giving me her total attention in that moment, and her ability to be loving in that moment, although I was not in a good place, just it blew my mind to know that someone could expand that much further and become that much more loving and caring. So that also was something that deepened our relationship quite a bit.
Do you see why I'm madly in love with him, Dom?
There you go, madly and happily. Let me stop.
Exactly.
Yeah, man. But yes, indeed, yes, indeed. So since this ain't your first rodeo for the both of you, is there a question that either of you or both of you would wish that you'd be asked more often when you're on interviews like this?
Well, the fun thing is we're kind of going in places that we don't normally go. So, let's just flow with it.
Yeah, we're enjoying this. This is fun.
Ah, there we go. Fun on the bun, indeed. Fun on the bun, indeed. That's what I'm talking about.
And it sounds like from your response to what we're saying, Dom, it sounds like you're identifying with, those challenges that we have in life, that you've been there too.
Oh yeah, especially the caregiving piece.
Uh-huh.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yeah, the caregiving piece, it definitely shows how big your love muscles are.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness, yes. Yeah. So you find out, it's something that I didn't have any clue about this when I started caregiving, not in the beginning anyway. But there's no question that the person with the medical diagnosis is definitely going through some kind of journey. It's a big journey that they're on, but the caregiver is on their own journey, and it's pretty interesting. Right, Dom? I would imagine that you found yourself in your own kind of self-discovery in that process of being a caregiver.
Oh yeah, it's definitely true. It was actually with my father when he was going through his period of Alzheimer's and just learning more about him. Funny enough, it was a shame that he lost just about all of his memories, but the memories he did that he would really share with me really showed me like, hey, there was another part of his life. Because funny enough, I mean, I knew my father, but I really didn't know him until that time where he shared more of his time when he was in military and active duty, and heck, even times when he was a bus driver after serving his time overseas, and really just learning more about my parents and learning more about how much they truly loved each other, and just seeing that display of love as an example of what I seek to have in my life down the road. So yeah, definitely caregiving is definitely a journey that will really reveal your character level and really strengthen your life if you allow it to.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And isn't, finding out those things that your father shared with you in his lucid moments, those are things you'll never forget. They're so precious, right?
That's right. The glue went from regular Helmer's glue to Gorilla Glue.
Where do you get these grants? Where do you get them? I love it. I love it.
I guess reading a lot of books, I guess. I don't know.
Great stuff.
Woohoo. But yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So got this fabulous book out as a couple. Is there another one down the road after the journey, because I'm pretty sure there's some more stuff that might be covering down the road since you both got so much experience in different areas that mesh together so well.
You know, I'd love to say yes. It's not the easiest thing in the world to write a book. And have you had any experience with that, Dom? Like, have you written any books?
Oh yeah, two of them. Funny enough, the second one was harder to write than the first.
Yeah. So you know what I'm talking about when I say it's, you know, it's probably easy. The easiest part is probably just getting the basic stuff on the paper, and there's a lot of back end to it. There's a lot of fine tuning and editing, and so it. I would say that we're more comfortable now doing other projects. Some of them are blogs, so it's like short form writing, and some of them are creating. We're doing webinars for, say, a medical practice where their patients will come to a 90-minute workshop with us, and we show them 1 minute to calm exercises, which will help them to shift quickly without having to sit down and meditate for 30, 40 minutes, but literally standing online at the CVS or being in their office stressed out, that there are really simple, easy ways to shift into a state of calm and groundedness and presence. So we're doing that kind of stuff, and we're starting to play with some training where we're going to be going into the corporate world and helping them with some of their crisis management. And some of these they're just super exciting projects for us to work on, and it gives us a chance to kind of play in areas that we hadn't played in before, and play together where Tamara can bring some of her amazing skills as the psychotherapist, and she's got tons of experiential exercises that she can take people through. And in terms of the corporate training, I'm going to start bringing in some of the principles and processes we use in the fire service to help crisis management, the leaders of business and organizations, to kind of cope with some of the crises that they're dealing with right now.
Sweet. That's what I'm talking about right there. And it's really great to be able to take some of the stuff that you do in one main area of focus and transfer it over into the other, because that's really important being a fire lieutenant and taking some of those. And I'm pretty sure you got tons of stories that really can help others in times of crisis, probably.
Absolutely. I was thinking of one today, and it's coming from the place of mistakes that I made when I was newly promoted, and how that applies to solving an emergency or kind of what not to do. Because some of what we have to do in life, and this doesn't have to be in a business context, but it could be just how we solve a family problem or a financial problem or a personal problem. It's information gathering in some cases, and so in making mistakes, I realized this could be a great teaching example for how to gather information, how to make decisions, how to proceed with solving the problem. And yeah, so some of the stories, some of the experiences that I've had will certainly be very useful to as teaching tools or teachable moments in this training that we're rolling out.
The one thing that we were talking with somebody earlier about today is that firefighters, first responders are amazing because, and that's key in terms of that they are called first responders, because in a crisis, they don't react, they actually respond. Like David was talking about, they gather information and they're really staying calm because they're in responsive mode and not reaction mode. I'm listening to a lot of people that I speak to in the corporate world or in the business world, and I hear quite a bit of reaction. So a crisis kind of takes them down or takes their employees down. So I love that idea of taking what first responders do so well and then putting that into a training, because boy, oh boy, there's a lot of crisis going on right now with all these businesses and corporations. So timely.
Oh, say that again. You can say that again, indeed, because the immediate impact was very. It was a nice little surprise attack, but now it's the recovery phase after folks slowly get back to a new normal where we adjust and everything like that. And funny enough, I believe you have a magical app that can even help with the mindset of that.
We do indeed. We created an app right after the cancer journey where we realized that there was a need for portable way for people to chill out and get calmer. In our case, it was waiting for the doctor, waiting for the procedure, but also there's a lot of, and everybody's experiencing this now, or quite a few people are, and that's having lots of downtime. And what are we doing during that time that's positive? We can certainly veg out on social media and the TV, but during my treatment, when I had hours and hours and hours sitting in a chair in the infusion center or at home, I started to listen to positive affirmations, meditations, uplifting music, reading uplifting, transformational books. And so I started feeling like I was using that time in a positive way. So that's one of the things our app does. It's obviously portable. Everybody's got their phone, they've got their tablet, and it's got different channels that address different areas like better sleep, or we have a Spanish channel. So we've got something like 14 activations and meditations entirely in Spanish. We have COVID-19 channel for those that are experiencing stress during the COVID challenge. And the whole point of the app is and it's not just for cancer, it's probably 80% of what's on there is not cancer specific. But it's really a simple way to kind of shift simply by popping in the earbuds, pressing play, and then just we'll do the driving. You just chill, watch some beautiful imagery, listen to some beautiful narration, and some really good music.
Sweet. And no sleeping allowed from the peacefulness, right?
Well, nothing wrong with that as long as you're not driving.
Don't listen while you're running an excavator, let's say.
Yeah, we're doing brain surgery. That's
Yeah, right.
Like, yep, I'm gonna relax my mind. Oh, shoot, I missed oh, whoops, that was not the brain. Okay, all right.
Oops. I like that. Oops.
It's like, don't tell him when he wakes up.
I wonder how many times that's actually happened, right?
Exactly. Wow.
That's right, and that's without the influence of good meditation.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about, indeed. Well, that's fabulous, though. Awesome channels, and they even did it in Spanish, which is a first I've actually heard of an app actually making sure they tap into the folks outside of the English-speaking countries into the Spanish country as well, because that's a huge language as well that folks tend to forget every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, there's even a greater need in that community for this kind of stuff. I think they're very, very much open. Well, for the most part, I think there's a deep desire for meditation and mindfulness in everybody's cultures, but the Latin American culture, I think, is a little underserved by this kind of resources. So we wanted to make that available, and it's actually that and a number of other features on the app are free. So we want to share that with everybody that can take advantage of it.
That's right. Take full advantage. Make sure you sack this app, y'all. Just sack it. Make it yours. That's right. Put it in your phone. Listen to it forever. Well, maybe not ever.
Yeah, you could though. We have our sleep channel will just loop forever if you let it. So, and some people do that. They put it on when they go to bed and they just let it run all night, and it seems to work. So it's one of those things that sleep is just for some people is a challenge. I know it certainly was for me during treatment, and I wish I had the app back then because I simply couldn't sleep. So lots of things. We're always adding new stuff to it. And we have some amazing collaborators from around the world that are adding their voice and their particular way of doing mindfulness and activations and meditations. So it's a fun project. We have some great musicians on there, and we're always trying new stuff. So check it out.
Yeah, that's right, folks. Check it out, like a library book indeed. Yes, indeed. So coming down to the magical question every guest gets to answer, and if you both have different answers, that's a-okay too. So if you're both were able to wake up tomorrow and you're both 25 in the current year of 2020 with all of your amassed knowledge and experience, what advice would you give to yourself?
Love yourself. Just, wake up and really give yourself so much kudos for even putting your feet on the floor and deciding to get up, take a shower, brush your teeth, and face yet another day, because it's so not easy being a human being. So be nice to yourself. Give yourself lots of compliments and kudos for all you do, just by, making it one day after the next. So love yourself up.
And I have to say, don't be so hard on yourself. Just lighten up, and laugh more. Stop and listen to the birds, listen to the sounds of nature, and kind of enjoy that part. That is those moments are some of the most peaceful and grounding moments. And yeah, I would love to have that time machine and go back. Dom, do you have the keys to the time machine someplace?
Yeah, Dom, do you?
I wish. I'm too average compared to other folks to have that access. Like, nope. He's too much chocolate. He can't have that key. Don't give that to him. He'll probably make everybody wear cactus hats or something. Don't give him that.
Cactus hats. What a visual I'm getting right now.
Either that or a camel for laughs and giggles.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Definitely solid right there. Solid as a rock. Self-love, self-care, and to be light in yourself and lighten up. That's right. That's right indeed. Light as a feather even.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Feather light and light as a light bulb. That's what I'm talking about. Yes, indeed. So for those who want to keep in magical contact with the dynamic duo, what's the best way for folks to reach out to you?
Our website is lovingmeditations.com. It's got ways to contact us. It's got our social media channels. It's got ways to get to the free download of the Loving Meditations app and a bunch of other cool stuff, our book. And we have a Facebook group for those that are living with cancer, has links to that. So pretty much everything is at lovingmeditations.com.
Woohoo! Well, there you have it, folks. Head over to that lovingmeditations.com. Check out that magical app and all the wares that the dynamic David and the terrific Tamara are putting out there for you to consume and live the best life ever. That's right. Your BLE, y'all, your BLE. So any parting words to the folks still listening?
It's just been pure pleasure laughing with you, getting to know you. I don't know. Do you have any parting words, my love?
No, I think we've covered quite a bit, but it is our pleasure and honor to be here talking to you tonight, Dom. We certainly appreciate what you do in the world, that you're making it possible for people to get really interesting perspectives and information. So kudos to you, and keep on doing what you're doing.
You bring the fun on the bun. How does it get better than that?
All right, the mind control is working. This is great. All right.